They told you she'd be independent, educated, empowered, but they never warned you what came with it. They painted the picture of a strong woman who would build alongside you, one who would love deeply, stay loyal, and rise with you through storms. But here's the truth that no one wants to admit. That image is, more often than not, just a mirage. Modern society has redefined what it means to be a woman. And that's not inherently a bad thing. She's told to chase her dreams, earn her degree, build her empire, to never settle, never submit, never be vulnerable. But what they never told her is that in cutting off all signs of dependence, she would also distance herself from connection, from softness, from the very qualities that make relationships thrive. And men? You're caught in the middle. You're still expected to be strong, stable, and successful, but now you're also expected to be sensitive, non-controlling, understanding, while silently watching her chase validation from 100 strangers online. You show affection? It's called simping. You set standards? You're controlling. You walk away? Now you're the villain. See, today's dating landscape isn't about love anymore, it's about leverage. It's a marketplace, a game of impressions, where the value of a person is measured not by their heart, but by their lifestyle, their followers, their options. And modern women? Many have options. Not necessarily better ones, but more. That's the power of technology. It turned every girl into a mini celebrity, and every man into a contestant trying to win a prize. The average woman today receives more attention in a week than most men receive in a year. Think about that. So while you're dreaming of loyalty, warmth, and a future, she's swiping past 5 other guys who gave her the same promises yesterday, and the worst part? She might not even realize how far she's drifted from her own desire for love, because she's been trained to chase independence at the cost of intimacy, to fear masculinity while secretly craving its protection, to view men not as partners but as threats or utilities. And here's the brutal irony. She might laugh at the idea of needing a man, right up until the loneliness kicks in, right up until the career success doesn't fill the silence at night, right up until she realizes that strength without softness is just another wall. And you? You're expected to stay silent, to play the role of a modern man who accepts all of this without complaint. But let's be honest. How can you build something meaningful when trust is low, expectations are sky high, and roles are undefined? This isn't about blaming women. It's about understanding the system that shaped them and shaped you too. If you don't wake up now, you'll spend your youth chasing ghosts, falling in love with an image that was never real to begin with. She says she's happy. She says she doesn't need anyone. But behind that confident smile, there's something you're not supposed to see. The silent ache for something real. Modern women have been taught to be strong, to chase success, independence, and attention, to be fearless, untouchable, unbothered. But when the lights go off and the phone is down, many sit alone, wondering why it still feels empty. She was told vulnerability is weakness, that relying on a man is outdated, that love can wait until after the degrees, the job, the lifestyle. And now? She's built a world so guarded that even the right man can't get in. And you try to approach with honesty, with loyalty, with something genuine, but it's often met with suspicion. You're either too soft or too controlling, too available or not available enough, because she's been hurt, used, played. And now every good man pays for the sins of the ones who came before. The real problem. Both men and women are afraid. Afraid to be open, afraid to be seen, afraid to give before they receive. So we get this. Endless cycles of shallow connections, short flings, and long-term regret. She posts quotes about knowing her worth. But deep down, she questions if she's even lovable without the makeup, the filters, the followers. And you. You've been told to stay strong, to never complain, to keep grinding, but deep down you're tired too. Tired of chasing women who don't want love, just attention. Tired of being labeled just for expecting respect. Tired of trying to build something meaningful in a world that rewards pretending. This isn't just her fault. It's a system that told her to harden and told you to accept it. And the tragedy? Even when you see through the mask, even when you offer something real, she might not know how to receive it, because the part of her that longs to be held hasn't felt safe in years. So what do? You stop trying to save her. You stop hoping she'll magically soften when you prove you're different. You stay aware, you stay grounded, and you protect your peace like it's sacred. Because if you chase the illusion, you'll lose yourself in the process. And sometimes, the strongest move is to walk away quietly, knowing what lies beneath the mask, but choosing not to wear one yourself. Let's face it, the number one thing men crave in a relationship is respect. Not validation, not worship, just genuine, consistent respect. But today, many young men feel disrespected, dismissed, even invisible. You give your time, your energy, your loyalty, and what do you get back? Indifference, contempt, or worse, manipulation masked as empowerment. Why? Because somewhere along the way the dynamic changed. Respect is no longer freely given, it's traded. And in this modern world where masculinity is constantly attacked or mocked, many women no longer see a reason to respect a man unless he proves his worth over and over again. And even when he does, it still might not be enough. You offer stability, that's boring. You lead with integrity, now you're controlling. You express emotion, you're weak. You hold frame, now you're toxic. But here's what most don't understand. A woman's respect isn't about your money, your looks, or even your status. It's about your energy, your certainty, your boundaries. The moment you give all your power away just to keep her, she feels it. And the more you chase, the less she values what you're offering. The man who bends, folds, and breaks to please her, he might get her attention, but he won't keep her respect. And without that, the foundation crumbles. Because at her core, even the most modern, independent woman still longs for a man who stands firm. A man who knows who he is, who doesn't need her, but chooses her. Who walks away from disrespect, no matter how beautiful she is. So if she doesn't respect you, stop begging, stop explaining, start rebuilding, not for her, but for yourself. Because the truth is, if she can't respect you, she can't truly love you either. And that's not someone you want to build a future with. There are harsh truths most men will never hear, but the ones who do, they wake up, they level up, and they stop playing a game that was never meant to be won. If this message hit you, if it made you pause, reflect, or even feel uncomfortable, then you're exactly the kind of man this channel is for. Subscribe to stay grounded in truth, because in the next part, we'll expose the reason so many relationships fail before they even begin. You won't want to miss it. They go on dates. They post each other online. They laugh. They vibe. They even talk about the future. But 6 months later, it all collapses. Modern relationships don't die because of one big problem. They die slowly, from expectations that were never real, from masks that were never removed, from two people pretending to connect while hiding who they truly are. Here's the harsh truth. Most people today aren't looking for a partner. They're looking for a performance. Someone who makes them feel good in the moment, who fits their aesthetic, who doesn't challenge their ego. And once the performance fades, they vanish. And this is where most men get it wrong. You think being the nice guy will win her over. You think giving her everything will earn her love, but in reality, that often kills attraction faster than anything else. Because real connection isn't built on convenience. It's built on challenge, respect, and truth. Modern relationships are failing because they've become transactional, not in money, but in energy. What can you give me? How do you make me feel? Do you match my vibe? But no one's asking the deeper questions. Can you suffer together? Can you grow through pain? Can you build a future through seasons of silence? Without depth, everything stays shallow. And in shallow waters, nothing strong survives. She might say she wants a real man, but when you show up with integrity, vision, and standards, she may call you intimidating. Why? Because the truth exposes her unreadiness. You may meet someone who says all the right things, talks about love, loyalty, family. But when things get hard, she chooses and escape. When accountability is needed, she plays victim. And when real work is required, she ghosts. Relationships like that were never built to last. They were built to feel good temporarily, not to grow roots. But here's the part that stings. If you keep lowering your standards to fit the new culture, you'll end up with connection after connection, but never a bond, never peace, never legacy. So protect your standards. Don't settle for chaos just because it's dressed in beauty. Don't chase approval from someone who doesn't even approve of themselves. Don't invest in someone whose idea of love changes with their mood. Because in the end, it's better to walk alone in clarity than hold hands with someone lost in confusion. And if that truth cuts deep, good. That's how growth begins. Every man has a vision of that one woman, kind, soft, loyal. A woman who sees him, respects him, builds with him. She's not loud with the world. She's focused, gentle, and grounded. But here's the reality. Many young men are starting to realize that woman, she's either extremely rare now, or she's been buried deep under years of pain, pressure, and pride. Because modern society didn't just change women's priorities, it changed their identity. It taught them to compete instead of connect, to chase independence at all costs, to fear being feminine, and to view a man's leadership as a threat, not a blessing. So now you're stuck in a cycle. You meet women who are smart, attractive, successful, but emotionally guarded. They want the benefits of a relationship: love, stability, validation, without giving what makes a relationship last: trust, humility, submission to something greater than self. And here's the trap. You start to doubt yourself. You think, maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe real love doesn't exist anymore. Maybe I should settle. But let me warn you, if you settle, you will suffer. Because deep down, you're not looking for a situationship. You're not looking for a woman who only loves you when you're winning. You're looking for something rare, a woman who's rooted, who sees your flaws but still respects your vision, who doesn't compete with you but completes what you're building. But to find her, you need to become rare yourself, because most men today are either broken or bitter. They gave their all to the wrong woman, or they gave up on love completely. Don't be either of them. Become the man who doesn't need a woman, but is ready for the right one. A man who walks with purpose, speaks with clarity, and lives with principles that no beauty can compromise. The woman you want still exists, but she's not on the surface. She's in the quiet, the overlooked places, and she won't reveal herself until you become the kind of man who wouldn't settle for anything less. Most will never find her, because most never become him. By now you've seen through the illusions, the games, the masks. You've realized that what's presented as love today is often just performance. that many women don't even know what they want, and many men have forgotten what they're supposed to be. So now the question isn't, where do I find the right woman? It's, what kind of man must I become? Because the truth is, you can't control the world, you can't change the culture. You can't make modern women become something they no longer value. But you can build yourself. And when you do, you stop chasing, you start attracting. You become rare, disciplined, focused, calm under pressure, not bitter, not cold, just grounded. The modern man is either consumed by lust or frozen by fear. He either gives too much of himself too fast or he closes off completely. You must be neither. Instead, become the man who lives with purpose, who knows that peace, strength, and clarity matter more than attention, chaos, or validation. Be the man who doesn't complain about women because he no longer gives his energy to the wrong ones. He observes and decides. He builds his body, his mind, his income, his values, not to impress women, but to protect what he's becoming. Because one day, you might meet her. The kind of woman you once thought didn't exist. Not perfect, not flawless, but ready, healed, humble. And she won't be looking for a savior. She'll be looking for a leader, someone she can respect and finally rest with. But until then, you walk the path alone, not in sadness, but in strength. You cut off distractions, you raise your standards, you move in silence and become so focused that your presence speaks before your words ever do. Because in a world full of noise, the man who walks in quiet confidence will always be the one they remember. If you've made it this far, you're not like most men. You're ready to wake up and never go back to sleep. This is your time now. The old version of you, let him go. Because the man you're becoming, he doesn't chase comfort. He builds legacy.